Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about Visit to the Unknown from Tensei Shitara Slime Talk, and so without any ado let's begin. Visit to the Unknown, 18 Rescue Part 2. Damn it. What was happening? I take my eyes off them for 1 week and now a whole world is about to be destroyed. No one would understand what I'm saying, but even I don't understand how things had come to this. I had just escaped to take a light breather, as a present to myself. But it looks like I made a mistake in allowing Feldera and Ramiris to do as they pleased. To think that they would lead a world to destruction. My little trip seemed cute in comparison. Yeah, these two were crazy. They had no sense of what was normal. Looking at this world that was about to be destroyed, there was something about it that was more shocking than when my body had been torn in two. It's no wonder Beretta had asked me for help. I had absorbed the two pieces of the body and then went to the labyrinth to hear about the research results while I was away. That was when I realized that something was amiss. Shinji had greeted me most suspiciously. When I interrogated him, he said that Feldera and the others had gone off to another world without permission. They had used the different gate, which was still being worked on, and had been waiting for me to leave. Oh, dear. I thought. They clearly wanted to be the first to find something new, so they could brag about it later. I could see through them every time. As there was no point in waiting for them to return, I analyzed the remaining magic circle and tried to pinpoint their location. Master Seal was always ahead of me. I was not surprised. Just then, a thought transmission arrived from Beretta. Lord Rimuru. There is a problem. The two others are also with me. Beretta said. The timing was a little suspicious, but I didn't ask. He had come to me for help and sounded very frantic. It seemed that Beretta had become involved in their mess as well. Stopping those two was a task too great for Beretta. Had he waited for the right moment and then called me secretly? In any case. Shinji. It seems that they're causing a lot of trouble over there. I'm going to go check on them. I'll leave the rest to you. I told him. As for Shinji, he was standing in front of the new researcher I had brought, Irina. He was sweating and making excuses about something. Well, it had nothing to do with me. His cheeks were flushed as well, but there was no point in thinking about that. What? Lord Rimuru? Yuri really going to leave me in this situation alone? Farewell, Shinji. Sorry, but I can't save you. You two enjoy your time together. Oh, he looks like he's going to cry. Well, he is crying. In any case, I left Shinji there and used interdimensional teleportation to go to where Beretta was. I was greeted by Beretta and tried to ask him about what had happened. However, it did not seem like we would have much time. The truth is, just as Beretta began, I felt that the world was starting to creak. Hey. You've gone too far. Does Feldera not understand? No, this isn't Lord Feldera's doing. I'm sorry you had to put up with this, Beretta. All right. I'll go and give him a good scolding. What? Ramiris as well, I said. And then I jumped towards Feldera and the others. And so I beat Feldera with my paper fan. Now, what to do? Guh? Rimuru? Why are you here? It's not my fault. I just got mixed up in this mess because of Master. Feldera was surprised while Ramiris wasted no time in betraying him. Of course, Ramiris always made excuses, and there was no mistaking that she was an accomplice. Beretta seemed like he had meant to cover for her a little, but there were limits to what you could do. In any case, it was then that Beretta also teleported to our location. Please wait, Lord Rimuru. You have it wrong. We were experimenting with the magic circle and got caught in an accident. Beretta said frantically as he came after me. An accident, huh? Is there more to this story? Or is he just making up excuses? After hearing Beretta's words, Feldera started to shout as if suddenly acquiring a will of his own. That's exactly true, Rimuru. It is most hurtful that you always blame me for everything. And how can you hit me on the head like that so suddenly? He made a show of being angry and indignant, but his eyes looked oddly anxious. That suggested he was at least somewhat ashamed. And Ramiris betrayed Feldera immediately because she knew she had done something bad. It seemed like a good time to mislead them. I see. Sorry about that. I actually wanted to praise you for making such a wonderful magic circle. But since you say it was an accident, I guess it was just a coincidence that it turned out so well. So, what would be their reaction? That's because of my research. It wasn't an accident. It was all according to plan. Ramirez? We both did the research. I won't forgive you for trying to steal all of the credit. Idiots. They took the bait too easily. Lord Ramirez, Lord Feldera. That's what you call a confession. Beretta muttered sadly. What? They realized at the same time. They let the cat out of the bag. But Beretta was guilty too. He had tried to lighten the crime by saying it was an accident, but perhaps he should have discussed it with the others in advance. Well, he may have had his reasons. And, well, it seems there are more pressing matters. And this really doesn't seem like Feldera's doing. I said as I looked towards the two collapsers that were enlarging after sucking in energy and matter from around them. The two collapsers were affecting each other and growing, and there was a single woman between them, the singularity of supergravity, a black hole that swallowed up everything. Why is this happening? That's what I want to know. Apparently, it's called the Mobius system or something. That woman over there, Michelle, her power reactor caused it to go crazy. We were just trying to stop it. Exactly. We've been desperately trying to stop the destruction of the world. I am very offended that you could blame it on me, Rimuru. Thank you for the explanation that explained nothing. Ramirez looked frantic, but I could hear the details about it later. But it was true. Feldera wasn't at fault, and if anything, seemed to have worked hard. I regretted what I did just a little. But then again, it was because Feldera had worked so much mischief in the past that caused the misunderstanding. So he brought it upon himself. I would very much like for Feldera to look at what he had done in the past and feel remorse. However, the Mobius system. A black hole as a power reactor? Was this some kind of joke? I didn't understand it. Were they that advanced in terms of science in this world? And how did they? In other words, it's a type of phase shift power reactor. Please make it simple, easy to understand and brief. To put it simply, when something falls into the collapser, the matter is converted into energy. It makes use of this phenomenon. By using two toruses, they affect each other and theoretically, would create infinite energy. That's what they must have thought. But it's far from perfect and incredibly dangerous. Master Seal's explanation was hard to follow. In other words, it was not simple at all. Still, I barely managed to understand. Basically, it was an incomplete product. The imperfect engine was out of control, leading to the current situation. That was all that I needed to understand. If this continued to spread, it might swallow up the entire universe. If that happened, would it also affect the other dimensions? No. It will not affect the other dimensions. Only this universe will lose its progress and be returned to zero. Oh. If it didn't affect the other worlds, then I could just leave it and return home. But Feldera was trying to save this world. In that case, I would like to answer to his show of spirit. But, was it even possible? It's simple. In a way, this is similar to Beelzebub. The problem isn't the release of positive energy, it's the disappearance negative energy. However, the way of dealing with it is the same. As energy has a direction, you just need to control that. I see. Growth speed equals the movement of time. So when the world loses its power to expand, then it loses the concept of time as well. If the expansion of the universe was positive energy, then the phenomenon in front of us now could be considered negative energy. Negative energy was special and was not something you could easily guard against. Feldera was unaffected by almost every kind of interference wave. That was how good his probability manipulation was. Had this been an attack from an enemy, it would have likely have no effect. So even if the world was destroyed, Feldera would be returned to his dimension without feeling any effects from it. Even in a world without energy, in other words, where time had stopped, Feldera would be able to move without any problem. However, with this phenomenon that robbed everything of energy that was in front of him, even Feldera could do nothing but try to use his immense energy in order to neutralize the effect. In a way, it was a matter of compatibility. But it had nothing to do with me. As an example, if Beelzebub, which had been my skill, had become uncontrollable, it would have been much like this. And so even I knew how to deal with it. Regardless of being expansion or annihilation, there was a direction to power. Energy had a flow and you just needed to stop it. In other words, you needed to stop time. If you stopped time, the expanding negative energy would stop. So Feldera would not be able to deal with the phenomenon. After all, Feldera could not control time. There was something called space-time control in his ultimate skill, Nyarlathotep, but Feldera had never stopped time by his own will. Perhaps he just needed some practice, but it was too much trouble for him, and he never tried to make use of that skill. He was powerful from the beginning, and he was never interested in anything that he didn't like. It was a bad habit that Feldera had. As he could still move while time had been stopped, he did not think that it was necessary to learn to stop it himself. While that did make sense, it was highly inconvenient in situations such as this one. But then again, situations like this weren't common. But I did hope that he would start practicing after this. It was annoying that he only relied on me for help when he was in trouble. Well, he was always like that, so I had become accustomed to it. I understood what was happening now. So it was time to put a quick end to it. Just as I thought this, people started to gather around. First, there was a group of fully armored soldiers who came out of a building. It seemed like they meant to help those who were trying to neutralize the gravity waves, but it was completely pointless. I could see the despair on the face of their commander, so they must have sensed the futility of what they were doing as well. Furthermore, an aircraft, well, it was a warship, appeared in the sky. It seemed like the result of incredible technology, to be sure, but no warship was going to save them now. I wasn't sure if they had beam weapons, but shooting the black hole with it would not do anything. As I thought this, someone came jumping out. "Michelle! Stay awake. I will reboot you this instant," a voice said as they came running. It was a woman who had lost the lower half of her body, and she was being carried by a rough-looking older man. She was calling to the woman named Michelle in an attempt to have her stop the destruction. She didn't seem like she was in the best condition herself, but I suppose she was still more worried about this Michelle. However, it would be better if they did not get close. The man was wearing some terribly cool-looking armor, and had enough energy for 2 people. So while he may be able to bear it, the gravitational field here had already been formed. If they got close, it was possible that they would go past the event horizon and be stretched into a line towards a singularity. Perhaps he sensed this, because the man stopped in his tracks. Then he and the woman began to argue. From what I could hear, words like closer and no were being thrown around. But the man maintained his calm and tried to persuade her. Well, I should move while I could. There would be more casualties if I waited. And so I quickly stopped time. And then I quickly walked over to the singularity. There was a rainbow-colored bridge that hovered in the darkness. And on the other side of the boundary surface, there were 2 rings in the air. The Mobius system. It's a black hole engine. The final destination of a technique they call science. The ultimate energy-generating device. I see. Well, I understood that it was amazing. An ultimate power that exceeded nuclear energy. However, there was no point if you couldn't control it. In the first place, this technology is clearly out of place for this age. Compared to your old world, Master, this place is about 2 centuries more advanced. But that is not enough to use this technology. They haven't even invented metal that can tolerate the heat, much less repress it. So it's no wonder that it went out of control. Indeed. Apparently, those cyborg-like people had miniaturized nuclear power reactors and particle acceleration devices through space compression installed within them. That was clearly the result of a different civilization, but it did suggest that they had developed quite a bit as well. However, an engine that could control a micro-black hole. It was hard to imagine where that technology had come from. It was too foreign and did not match their level. So that meant the person who made this had probably been from another world. If I was able to meet them, I would consider making them honorary members of my research team. I thought as I looked at the Mobius system, while the world stood still. Well, it would be dangerous to leave it here. So I might as well take it. In that case, I will manage it responsibly. Manage? Master Seal was obsessed with skills. Had she just found a new hobby? She sounded pretty happy. So the possibility was strong. Oh, well. Currently, the energy thing isn't a problem, and since Master Seal is so happy, it would feel barbaric to ruin the fun for her. And so I put the Mobius system into my stomach. So, Rimuru, what are you going to do with it? Feldera seemed a lot more confident now that time had been stopped. He didn't miss the fact that I had quietly taken the Mobius system. I had let my guard down and forgotten that Feldera was able to move. I'm thinking about studying it, since it looks amusing. What? That's not fair. And both Ramaris and I were not able to analyze it, you know? And so we worked so hard towards acquiring it. Who cares? I thought you were working hard to save the world. It's because of that I was going to ignore the other things you did. Oh, no, that is right. Kahahaha. Phew. It's just that Ramirez wanted to install it in Beretta. Feldera must have understood his position, because he suddenly became quiet. It would be several hundred years before he could beat me in an argument. However, install it in Beretta? That was a surprisingly amusing idea, wasn't it? It is possible, but please wait for me to finish studying it. I would like to offer something that has been perfected. Oh, that's amazing, Master Seal. A true perfectionist as always. And now she had given her permission. So it was all but settled. It would go in Beretta. Yes, we will adopt that idea. What? Beretta seems to have suffered a lot, so we will give it to him as a reward. Ka ha ha ha. That's it, Ramiro, my old friend. You understand me. Ramirez will be so pleased. Feldera was in a good mood now. I was also interested, and it was important to make good use of your resources. Beretta had the earth element, and with a perfect Mobius system created by Master Seal, he should be able to control it safely. So the matter of dealing with the dangerous object was resolved. Now I just needed to get a replacement heart power reactor for this Michelle person. That was easy enough. Master Seal had already analyzed the nearby cyborgs and was working out a solution. Nuclear fusion core reactor, what they call it, the star system. But it seems like a waste to give it to a single person. Oh, well. Master Seal did not want to compromise when it came to her creations, but it also seemed like too much power for one person. It was quite the dilemma. After all, it was an engine with higher output than even the Mobius system, which they had failed to control. So I could understand how she felt. She tried too hard sometimes, Master Seal. It seemed like she hadn't spent much time or effort, but the result was far superior to what the other cyborgs had. But then again, we were taking their Mobius system, so perhaps it was a fair trade. While that was being done, I interrogated Feldera. He had thrown caution aside and did as he pleased in this world. And he seemed to have enjoyed it a lot. That's why I couldn't let him go places alone. Feldera and Ramirez needed a guardian. Feldera finished his story and then smiled happily as if I had no reason to be upset. Oh? But your punishment hasn't even begun yet? There was some saying about it not hurting after it passes your throat, and now that we had dealt with the Mobius system, he thought that the world was saved. And so I decided to give Feldera a taste of reality by making him settle matters in this world until the end. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe for more content.